episode of Gaming for the Culture. I am your host, Junae Benne. You are now rocking with the hostess with the mostest, and I have some really, really amazing guests. And I've spoken to them before. The last time we spoke, it was over an interview table. So if you saw the post that went out today, I said let's talk beyond the interview table and really get to know them. One of them I've known for longer, and I can't wait to get into that because I used to be a terror a little bit unknowingly, not on purpose. I used to just anyways, I don't want to give too much away. Without further ado, I would like to introduce my guests, Kat and Carmen. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
So yeah, I'm Kathryn De Shields-Moon. By day, I am the senior PR manager at Schell Games. By night, I like horror movies and bad jokes and puns. I've been in gaming for about 10 years. Gosh, it's been that long. And the beginning of my journey is actually when I met Junae, so more on that later. But yeah, I've always had a love for the written word and communications. Got my start in journalism when I was in high school at the local newspaper. That carried me through college, and then the industry went, "Bah!" and there were no more newspaper jobs. So I pivoted to public relations, working in a couple of corporate shops before I was like, you know what, my soul needs feeding, and I went to Atlanta for a graduate program in writing, and that led me into my first role in the gaming industry as a video games journalist. So funny how things come around full circle. And ever since then, I've been bebopping around different places in gaming. So that's taken me from games journalism to community management to esports to putting together the big grand esports competitions and conventions. And now I'm chilling in the land of virtual reality with a headset on my face and a song on my heart. So I'm going to flip it over to Carmen.
Thanks, Kat. So I am Carmen DeMint. My pronouns are she and her, and I am the senior TA, for those who don't know what that is, talent acquisition specialist at Schell Games as well. Wow, my trajectory to be in this industry is all over the place. So for those of you who are aspiring to get in, it is not a straight shot for some of us. I have worn a lot of hats. I'll name off a few. I am a French trained chef. I went to medical school, and all through that journey, I had a love of games. I go back to the Atari days uh, with the understanding that women could not do this. I had no idea that this was a career, no idea that you can go to college for such things. Because in my time, you had the blue aisle, the pink aisle, and home ec. Whew, that's taking you way back. But throughout that career journey, I built the skills around people, soft skills, business, biz dev, which allowed me to integrate myself as a uh, personal representative or PR agent for huge names in the industry, and also work in collaboration, like Kat said, for conventions and doing tracks. I had the privilege of working and supporting the first couple years of Blurred Con, and if you know, you know. And then a kind of a full circle moment for me. Kat dared me to put an application in at Schell Games, and look at me now. So, I really truly love the studio's commitment to DEI, being a diversity recruiter, a person who is neurodivergent or neurospicy, as I like to say, and an advocate for opening doors for others. And I've dedicated my career. I am excited about this podcast.
Carmen, really quickly, this has to be one of the most unrelated questions, but you brought up French cuisine. I went
Yeah.
to Paris and I didn't like anything I had. What's going on? like like
How
help me
long
to
ago did you
understand that
go? I guess is the
experience.
question.
Like
I mean, did you go recently?
yeah, 2023 or 2023 or
Mhm.
2024, December, January.
Yeah, I really think that classic French cuisine, and when I say that, everything with cream and butter is where I was trained, has been going out the window in consideration of the healthy way of eating, which does not taste the same to your palate. So, depending on the entrees that you had, the restaurant you went to, and the chef, come on, it may have not have been your cup of tea. Now, French pastries, girl. I will roll out of there weighing 10 more pounds every other day. But big secret, most of us chefs cannot bake. And to tell you why, because we want to peek, stir, and poke. Baking is not the thing.
That's interesting
Good
because
question
I
though.
can agree with the pastries because I didn't like macaroons until I tried them in France. And then I was like, oh, okay, everyone else is just wrong. Like, good to know,
You're
you
like, this is
know?
what they're
So
supposed to taste like.
yeah, the like crunchy and soft or like that, like yeah, the variety of texture in one. I'm a macaroon connoisseur. Put that on my resume as well. I've eaten enough. But no, thank you for that because I just kind of ate at a restaurant and it was the vibes were super cute, right? Like I was like I remember walking past it as I come from an esports lounge. I was like that restaurant looks really cute. I'm gonna try it. And it was like a steak and some caramelized onions and then like some fries. I have to stop saying French fries. I don't want anybody to get upset.
Pommes frites.
Um,
Yeah.
and like some mayo. And then they had ketchup. And I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and make a burger sauce because I don't want to eat just mayo. Like stop putting just mayo on everything. I didn't like that. So thanks for that. I needed that like
Sure.
you don't want to get on the internet and be like, Parisians, what's up with you guys? Is this what you're eating all the time? Like, should I have just gone to like a Nigerian restaurant and then like, yeah, just give me the jollof rice and the chicken and I'll be
Yeah.
happy. I was trying to try something different. So
I will say that if you go to a foreign country, most of the time you would do better having street food or a small mom and pop something because they're keeping to their traditional recipes. And also, they're more friendly, they're more engaging than a sit down style. And let me just say, we're all not made of money. We do not need to go and spend $100 on a steak dinner. That piece of meat tastes the same no matter where you go. Can't do
Carmen's
much
preaching, you
different.
guys. Like, yeah, I 100% agree. I think it's really cool to learn about all of the spaces that you've been in because it seems like we should have overlapped. I was there the first year of BlurredCon. I was a speaker. I had about like two panels, and so that was kind of cool to hear that you were also a part of that. And if you're up to talking about it or hearing maybe some stuff that you haven't heard, I can also bring that up. But we don't have to. But BlurredCon was not seen as a success, but it's still going on, right? Like I know a
Yeah,
lot of
for
people are always
sure.
going to complain about conventions. Now it wasn't like the My Little Pony con, right? Was that it? That was just kind of like a blow up pool of like balls or something, but, I can't even remember. There's
It's
been so much
PonyCon.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, it's PonyCon.
there's been so many things in the gaming industry, and Kat, I feel like you've been here longer than 10 years because I'm pushing 12. So if I'm pushing 12, I think you are at least at 12 or, like, 13, like
I'm bad at math. That's why I went to
okay.
school for communication. So
I say that all the time. I say that all the time. I'm like, who has to do math? I know language, but not grammar. I can't help you with grammar.
Listen,
Grammar is a bit rough for
I've
me.
been in the
I'm
industry 20
still
years
learning.
plus and I stopped counting at 20. And the reason why I'm in operations is because I'm left-handed, I can't draw, I don't like Excel, and math is not made for people like me. Calculators are made for people like me.
I
I
love
tell
that.
people if it's not page numbers or money, I ain't counting it.
Come
So
on
just
now. I'm doing a little bit better
Say it
at
louder.
sales. I'm getting the 60-40%. I'm doing the math for a sale, but anything else, I'm
Math
like, let
where it
me
counts.
Google. Like, let me try to figure out the formula so I can punch in the numbers. Like, my people. My people. I get it. I get it so heavy. Let's talk about Cat. Like I was just saying, I feel like you've been in it just a teensy bit longer because I had to count the other day and I was like, oh, okay, 2013 to 2025. It's 12 years. That's 12
yeah,
years.
then that is accurate then because like I started as a games journalist and then boom, there was today. So So that tracks.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was the year I had graduated. I had graduated college and I kid you not. I graduated college. I had a broadcast journalism, like a communications degree, and I applied for 100 jobs like a day. I applied
Oh
for
my gosh.
100 jobs a day. And sometimes because I was applying so much, I would do that thing where I'd be like mixing up the names of like the
Hmm.
stations that I was trying to apply to, because I'm talking I was applying to all 50 states. All 50 states. I was even applying like overseas, like Ireland, pretty much the UK, like anywhere they were speaking English. I was like, me. I need to use my degree, but I also need to not be in Illinois. And my last couple of years were surrounded by me just like playing video games. And so I started making up the term video game journalist, thinking that I was just like, oh, I'm just going to make it up. And it turns out it's a real thing. So I graduated like May. And then I think 2014 is when I found like Game Skinny. And Game Skinny is, I think they still exist. Am I
They
let's
do.
let's
They were acquired by another
okay.
company, but they still
Okay. They
exist. Uh
still
huh.
exist. Love that. Yeah. Okay. So I remember writing and being at a pivotal moment in my life where I had lived on my own for the first time. I'm just now experiencing the world and learning that it is completely unfair. Completely everything I do is like not helpful. Like never was I gonna ever make it by standing on my own 2 feet, right? Pulling yourself up from your bootstraps just didn't feel like a thing. Not even just in the gaming industry, but just being like a black woman. Like I was like 22. I think I was 22. Like how terrible. And I just remember being so like Hulk mad, like Hulk smash, Hulk, do what they want to do, because a part of the reason why I got rejected for broadcast journalism was because of my hair. My hair is pretty natural. And I remember wanting to like go natural and not wanting it to have to be straight. And that was like a big no
Hmm.
no. But like my sew ins were such a mess. And like my scalp was so sensitive. And I was just looking all around a mess. Like all around completely like maybe you shouldn't be on TV anyway if you're going to look like that. Like if you're not going to go, constantly get your hair done. And so that attributed contributed all the tributeds to like me wanting to be in the gaming industry after seeing all these girlies on E3 and G4, and their hair has a bunch of colors and they have a bunch of piercings. And, me, a classically trained journalist, being like, ugh, why aren't they reading that right? You know what I mean? Having notes for them, I'm watching, and I'm like, nobody's doing it right. They need to give me the job. Like, I'm the only person who can really read gaming news, right? Never have done it before, but I like had some demo reels with like NBC Chicago and NBC Sports back when it was like Comcast Sportsnet. And so when I got to Game Skinny, I was just feeling this massive weight of just being like oppressed. I feel like I can't write what I want. And I had been dealing with like colorism. I had been dealing with colorism like within the organization that I was in. I had been dealing with just like
Hmm.
things I didn't even have words for, like at the time, a bit of ableism. I knew about the racism, I knew about the colorism, just kind of learning about the sexism, just, now learning about like ableism. And then on top of that, I've been neurodivergent my whole life and I didn't know. So,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm coming
I mean,
into this
I can
space
relate
and
to a
I
lot
just
of
want
what
to
you're
know, what
saying.
did that look like from the other end? Because like I specifically remember having to like talk to the people at Game Skinny. I was so excited to be. No, you did not skip to a new video, and this isn't one of those low budget YouTube ads. This is our very first ad for Gaming for the Culture, and thanks so much for witnessing it. So, this episode is brought to you by the Siho Doro C300 Gaming Chair Review. I was sent this chair a couple of months ago and I've gotten a chance to sit in it. And one thing about me and reviews is that I like to take my time. So, I've been sitting in this chair for about 6 months and I have a whole video of where I put it together, tell you exactly what I think about it. So, after you're done with this episode, the link will be in the description. Go ahead over to my channel and check it out. All right, let's get back to the episode.
I had just stepped into the role as the games journalist training program coordinator. Before that, I was one of the editors on team and did like internal communications. Um, and it was it was interesting, and I'll break that down into a couple of points. So one, a lot of what you're saying, Janae, is what I have felt or experienced, especially like coming like right out of school. And you have all of the world in front of you, right? You're promised the world. It's almost like here's your expensive piece of paper. Now go and do whatever it is that your soul desires. And then you get out there and a truck rolls by and it splashes a wave of water on you. You're like, it's okay. I'm gonna keep going. And then, somebody just right, it takes your purse or whatever. And it's just like this onslaught of like, what the heck moments as you realize that the world isn't as kind as you thought it was. It's not as promising as you thought it was. There's a lot of rules, hidden rules that are not clearly communicated, especially if you're a minority or a double minority or anything, and that are at play immediately. And even though I feel like my parents did a great job of saying like it's not the same for you, you really don't understand the depth of what that means until like you're trying to stand on your own 2 feet for the first time as a professional in any industry. So when you rolled in through the doors at Game Skinny in a wave of applications for new journalists that are like, hey, I want to hone or up or learn how to break in as a games journalist in the industry, and worked with us to create content for the website. um I distinctly remember like, she has a lot to say. And that's not a bad thing. That was a good thing. It's just I saw pitches from you that I have never seen from anybody else, which I loved, because I was like, that's what I low key would want to write about. So um there was just a general overall passion and excitement that was there. And I had no idea that you were at such a low point, honestly, because it wasn't visible in the way that you presented yourself. You were bright, you were upbeat, you were energetic, you were enthusiastic. You kept going. And I think the most interesting thing is, and this is not a slight on you at all, I'm just keeping it 100, being transparent, is we had people of varying kind of writing skill levels, throughout the program. So we had some people that were super polished and professional, barely needed anything. There were some people who needed some kind of structural changes just to make sure that everything was
Mm-hmm.
cohesive or there was flow to the story. There were people who didn't know how to write at all. And it was just like, I'm going to spend an hour and a half on this next piece. I know it. And the one after that. But with you, it was like this fire hose of like ideas and like, oh, but what about this? And it was like, you have about 20 different things that could be standalone articles in this one article. And we can't do that. But let's focus on this piece and kind of draw it out. And, working with you, it took a lot of work, not from a standpoint of this is somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. It's from the standpoint of somebody who has so much to offer and nowhere to put it. And I distinctly remember multiple times, during our editorial meeting, like, well, she's taking up so much of your time having to go through these articles and parse them out and polish them up and make sense. But it was always, I saw me and you. And it's like, we're gonna keep working with her because her ideas are there, her presence is there. She deserves a platform. And this is a training program. So if she can't get support at this level, then what is the point of the program? Because
Wow.
then we would just be hiring professionals, wouldn't we? So what that looked like, TLDR, on my side of things, was just a real humbling experience of like, I know what that feels like. I was there not too long ago, and how fortunate I am to be a Black woman helping or talking to or in the presence of another Black woman in this industry, and whatever energy or guidance or advice or whatever it is that I can give you, it's for you, because ultimately it's for me and everybody else that looks like me or has had similar experiences. And we've been in this a long time, and it's come a long way. There's more opportunity, for people to really speak their piece. There's more platforms and avenues that aren't gate kept,
Yeah.
which I love, in terms of articulating unique perspectives or lived experiences, or just, have you thought about this? This is counter to the mainstream narrative, but it's actually a true story. So, can I talk about it for a second? There's still a lot, there's still so much work to be done, which is why I'm incredibly grateful for people like Carmen, who dedicate themselves to making the industry more diverse. Like, she's out there like, hey, you come here, I got something to talk to you about this. So and there's a level of empowerment and education that undergirds everything that we do, right? So even though I'm in public relations, my job is to talk about what the company's doing, share news, beats, maintain public image, and yada, yada, yada. There's always a level of, you can do this too, just from me being in a seat like this. And it's a lot of responsibility, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. Just because, I don't know, it feels like, even if, no matter who I'm helping younger me in some way. And I think Carmen and I, before we went online, we were talking about imposter syndrome and how we really don't like talking about ourselves. And it is imposter syndrome, right? Because it's kind of beaten out of you that you have anything meaningful to say, like, in a lot of different ways for most of your life, like, it's like, let's refine the quirks. Let's get rid of the cringe humor. Oh, you like dad jokes? You're a horrible person. I'm just gonna roll my eyes at everything you say. So oh, you like horror, everything? Are you a devil worshiper? And it's just like, you spend so long being made to fit into a box,
Yeah.
that the work it takes to get out of that box is 10 times harder than the sanding that's done to fit you in it. And it's like you're picking up little granular pieces of yourself, like, the
Or
entire way, trying to get back to who you are. And I'm rambling now, so I'm going to stop
no,
rambling. And
No.
Carmen, you go, girl, go.
yeah. I think that there's a lot of things that you said that are spot on, especially if they can't see it, they won't be it, right? And I'm thankful for having some really great mentors that were there for me and still there for me along the way, that have been championing. That's not a word.
In the
You know what I
beninging,
mean? And
championing.
yeah, thank you. And paved the way for me in a way to show me how to have empathy, uh, navigating spaces and places where I don't fit in. And you've talked about that, Junae. You've hinted on all the isms. Um, One big ism for me is colorism, as you said. I am what they call high yellow. I didn't get as much melanin as some other people, and I can be incognito in other spaces, but I've received colorism on the other end where I'm not accepted. But it does give me a unique perspective of being able to, and we know we don't like this, educate others because they don't know who they're talking to or know my background. Now, not going to be ignorant with someone. I'm just going to inform them that I'm offended and try to hopefully explain that to them. Now, if they don't get it, um, there's things that happen. We won't talk about that here. But I like the fact that I'm able to toe the line with being able to share my experiences, and then also being able to be thankful for having some of that privilege. And what that privilege has allowed me to do is a lot of what you see now. Being able to meet people like yourself, and I know we've had an interview situation where hopefully that you felt it was fair and equitable and you felt supported. And I don't gatekeep. And like I've said many times before, I say what I mean and I said what I said. And for me, I am a straight shooter. I'm a type 1A personality. And sometimes my alter ego comes out. And as you know, being in a professional setting, all we got to do is tilt our head a certain way, and then it's a problem. But I've learned to hone that responsibility of representation within a professional setting, which has gotten me, thus far in my career and owning my own business and being able to not only advocate, uh, but check some people. We'll just leave it at that. And then leave them in the back, right? They don't have to be in my circle. If they are not with this program, they could keep on going, keep on rocking, not rocking with you. Which brings me to Kat. Kat and I have been, wow, it's crazy because we've been orbiting the same groups. We've been in the same conversations. We've heard each other's voices for so long. And then here we are working together in a capacity that allows us to combine our powers for good, not evil, and be able to navigate in a studio setting that is committed to the things that we're talking about. But also, I have the privilege of representing this studio in a way that shows and puts the rubber to the road. And awesomely enough, the PR person I work with that supports me in that engagement is also one of my friends, right? We are able to combine our powers and make sure that the messaging is appropriate, and also have the privilege to, give a little pushback and be like, hey, wait, the wording of this could be contextualized as something different, and being able to give that perspective is important, especially as we are paving the way, right? Give everybody their flowers here for other people coming behind us. And I take that so 100%, like Kat said, with the responsibility that comes with it. I'm not perfect now, don't get me wrong. And if I say something to someone and it is not striking a chord the right way, I fully expect somebody to check me. Like, don't put me on blast on the internet now, but let me know, right?
I'm gonna
Yeah.
cancel you, Carmen. You're
Oh
canceled. Just
no. I
kidding.
mean, I was around when Gamergate happened. And believe me,
Yes.
I had so many pizzas delivered to
Yes.
my house and sauce, and my daughter was like, Mom, what is going on? I have a Twitch channel where I ran live broadcasts every Friday night for a couple hours. And let me tell you, unbeknownst to me, because I'm doing the live podcast, and Junae, props to you because I did sound, I did audio, I did video, I did the production. As we are talking on this podcast, they cut us out and ran live porn for like 4 minutes. Did I know? No. But Twitch was like, oh, no, 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 no. Your channel is done. So, I mean, just
Oh
the
my
things that people
goodness.
do when they're keyboard assassins is interesting. But again, we've come a long way. There's a lot of women in this industry that we stand on their shoulders, and we have taken the baton to say, not on my watch. And it's so important today in this time to be a leader if you can. And if you can't, support those leaders that are willing to speak out on your behalf. Let them know, the people in your lives, give them call them up, be like, thank you, go on the internet, tag them. If you feel so inclined that they are doing the things that are in line with your perspective and you appreciate them, give it to them. Don't wait for a holiday. Don't wait for their birthday, because it's so important now more than ever. And I'll put
I
the mic
love
down.
that. I love that. You guys are saying some really amazing things, and that's also why I do this podcast, because I get to talk to whoever will let me talk to them. But the people that I choose for a reason, and Meanwhile, I just started to get to know Carmen a bit more because you also help with the virtual job fair that we just put on through the
Mhm.
IGTA Foundation. And you guys have made like a personal impact on me, but I also see the signaling happening on, you know, your end, that I know that it's not just me that you guys have made an impact on. So a lot of the people that I talk to, they've made a personal impact on me, or I can just see the good that they're doing in the community. And like, the point of this podcast is to create that evergreen content, right? Like, say you guys go on to be president, I don't know, right? I would, you know, be so happy to be like, well, I have a podcast with them, and these are the people, you know, that are behind the screen, and this is that person. I'm imagining, you know, like Futurama with like the heads in the jars, but anything could happen, really and truly. Um, but yeah, like, you know, and then just hearing about what I looked like on the other side of Game Skinny, I think it was just really like complete, because it was like, you know, it took me a couple of years to be like, oh, like you are a menace. Like it took me a couple of years to be like, oh, like you could have done a lot of things better, and you know that now. And I promise you, I don't even know if you remember, if you got it, but I sent sorry emails. I was like, hey, I just want to like
Yeah.
apologize for the time, because I just realized that I could have just done this better or that better. And they were like, oh, such and such either isn't here anymore, or like, oh, like I'll tell them
Mhm.
or something. But I remember being like, oh, I could have just calmed down. I could have just not. But you know, that passion that you're talking about, it's there, and it's, I don't want to say I don't know how else to be, because there is a put together version. Even now I could be like more put together,
Yeah.
but like the genuineness that I show, I like when it comes across, and it's like never for clout, because I know that's been the new thing, especially
Mhm.
speaking of, you know, existing around and after Gamergate. It's like it's like, I'm a woman who supports women, and it's like, you hate men, and it's like, whoa. Let us just breathe.
Yeah,
Like, nobody
I
said
get
that,
that.
or, you know, I support black women, you hate white women. Like, whoa, nobody said that, you know.
There's
So
a thing about
I
toxic
Mm.
positivity is a thing,
that's
and
true.
Junae, let me just say from one neurospicy person to another, when you're 22 years old and a person who doesn't understand that they're under the neurodiversity umbrella,
Mm.
it it speaks volumes to what Kat was saying and where your identification in yourself. First of all, you're in your 20s. We're supposed to have our head on a swivel and look at all the things, but
Mhm.
being able to know where to harness that superpower now is such a growth moment for you, because I am so neurospicy in all kinds of ways. And what I've learned to do is harness that mind that's all over the place. Now, it takes some time, but to try to compartmentalize all the things that are going on in your head. And when I say that, it is for me like having a bunch of windows open on your computer. At any given time, there's probably 10 to 15. So focusing on what's going on here, when you got all these ideas because somebody said peanut butter and jelly, and you're like, yeah, but you got to use wheat bread. And then when you cut the crust off and they're still talking, you have to learn to control that, but also do not belittle yourself and think
Mm-mm.
you are not doing whatever it is you're supposed to be doing in your career. It just takes time to understand yourself and be patient. Do not be hard on yourself, because it is not a disability. We just think differently. And probably 73%, I can't remember what the actual number is, of creative people in this industry are neurodiverse. We have created and we're running this industry. It just manifests in different ways.
Mhm.
I mean,
Absolutely.
we are wonderfully different
Mhm.
and unique.
I love
Go
that you
off. Go
said
ahead and
that.
pass that collection plate.
I'm telling you, straight preaching. This is the Carmen show, like banger after banger. It's so interesting that you say that, because I saw a TikTok video that said, people with ADD and ADHD, what job are you doing that gets you paid? And I was like, I'm neurodivergent and I'm an entrepreneur. And I think that is like the best course of action for me. And one of the last interviews I got was with you guys. It was at Schell Games. I think that was, and that doesn't mean I haven't
Mhm.
applied to other jobs. Like I've always knew that I've done better as an entrepreneur, but I'm just trying to be on somebody W-2, right? I'm just trying to get in where I fit in as far as health insurance is concerned without having to do all the extra steps. And so you mentioned earlier about like I hope you felt like the interview process was equitable, and I really do. I feel like I got a sense because that was my first time meeting Carmen, right? So it's like, okay, well, I knew Kat already, so I'm like, if you and literally on the job application they're like, why do you want to work here? And I was like, Kat's here. What are you talking about? I know you guys do really cool thing, but Kat's here. And if Kat's here, that means you guys are doing like
Mhm.
more stuff. Like if Kat's a part of this like
I said the same
atmosphere,
thing.
like that means that you guys are doing something really good. And of course I elaborated, but they was probably like, okay, fangirl, calm down. And it was like, no, it means that you guys are actually like standing for something and you're doing something because you've been there for a minute. So um yeah, I think the process was really great. I think, it would have been a great opportunity to like work with both of you. I just wrote an article. I literally just wrote an article. I probably sent it out yesterday or the day before. And I don't know when this is getting aired, so whatever. But it was pretty much me talking about the performativeness of allyship and what it means to like
Mm.
work with other minorities, but having them kind of be like the majority minority, if that makes sense, right? Because I've had
Mhm.
experiences, especially like as a contractor, of working with like other women or other queer women or whatever the case is. And if they lead their company, you're kind of like, oh, I get to work with women. I get to kind of like make a difference in a sense. And like some of the things that I would probably have to hide, or try to negate, like, oh, me being like neurodivergent, or like me being like, oh, like I have a disability and I'm getting like a flare up today. Like, let me just kind of power through it and then, look like a zombie. And somebody's like, is something wrong? I was like, okay, I won't have to do this because it's like, I'm working with people who understand that. But at the end of the day, you're still black. Like, you're still black. There's unbiased, the unchecked biases happening. And it's a constant thing actually in like my work life to experience being like thrown under the bus, to be like, oh, we're women, you're black,
Yeah.
sorry. Like, like I'm not going to be supportive, I'm not going to stick my neck out for you, like I'm not going to do those things. And so um this working with you guys, I don't think would be a like that experience, or I know that it wouldn't be like that. And so I believe that's also what I was excited for too. So it was like a really good interview, and it was a really good way to see what the dynamic would be like. And you guys were also laughing a lot, like
Mhm.
you were today at the start of this too. And I was like, well, that's really good because if anyone's ever starting a job and then you kind of be like ha 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 in the beginning, and later on you be like ha 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 ha, right, like get out of my face, like it didn't feel like
Yeah.
that. It didn't feel like that. So yeah,
Well,
yeah, I
I for one
just
appreciate it, and let me just say that um, you know I put Cat on my application too, so props to her.
yeah.
Also, in consideration of your interview, you interviewed well. I know everybody's nervous when they interview, and a lot of people are like, "Oh my god," because it's Shell Games. But also, I do not use the term interview. I use the term conversation or kiki because I don't want to go to the dentist. That's what it makes it sound like when you do an interview. A lot of
Exactly.
people have interview PTSD.
Hmm.
They just are like, oh my god, I just got ran over, as you say, Kat, by a bus at another interview, and what are these people expecting? And for me, no matter where I go, I do not want anyone to have to mask. And what that means, Junae, is you said it. You go into somewhere and you got to hide who you are. I have never hidden from anybody. And I do not believe in the aspect of changing your hair. We got the Crown Act. Or you cannot be your true authentic self because that makes people unhappy. And as I tell my
Mm-hmm.
junior achiever, you need to find a place and a position and finish college, but a role that allows you to come in and be your authentic self because you're going to have to be there like you're married. You better love it, like it, and then some because we spend, I'll say, more than 50% at our job than we do with our families.
Mm-hmm.
And having that work life balance, whether it's your job, having a best practice that does that, you need to have that perspective for yourself as someone who is the oldest person in the room, and has worked corporate jobs, has done the crunching. Shell allows me to have that perspective and balance, and I am able to do things outside of work. I am probably 20 minutes from where LeBron James School is. I volunteer, and do a lot of things. I'm able to advocate for kids who are in YMCA, kids who have that economic strife, whether it's monetary or otherwise. Be able to present technology to them in a way that is digestible and they can figure it out and know that this is something they can do, right? I mean, it's still technology. We're up to AI. And I don't know how I feel about it, but kids are smart. I mean, you've got somebody that's under 10 and you give them their iPhone, they'll give it back and you got all kinds of things on there you don't know how to use. Uh, and the responsibility of the internet. One of my favorite things to do is hit up a company and ask them, how are you making change? What are you doing for a responsibility? Especially if I'm working with a company and they come to me for my consulting. I mean, put them on the carpet. Just because they're making something and making money off of those of us who buy the product doesn't mean that we can't ask questions. This climate that we're in today has a lot of people thinking about what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, how they're going to get there. And I would say I do not envy the kids coming out of college because this market right now is
It's
flooded and
hard.
it's so hard to stand out. And it's so hard to disseminate yourself and not mask when we're all supposed to, like Kat said, fit in that box. We are always and have been a square peg trying to fit in a round hole. And unfortunately, I don't see that changing anytime soon. But we got our people, we got our culture. Speaking of which, I love the name on the podcast.
Yeah, I
Thank you for
just
inviting us.
yes, thank you.
Thank
This is
you.
the realest conversation I've probably had in a minute. And I want to piggyback off what Carmen said about, and you too, Janae, about like authenticity and how important it is to find a place that acknowledges and accepts your authentic self. Because I think there's a lot there. I don't think that any company or any person for that reason is for that matter rather is for that matter rather is going to make a space for your authentic self if you don't do the work to figure out what that is.
Wait,
And
say it louder for the people in the back.
but I mean seriously, because I remember, and it's crazy. I'm not shy about age. I'm 36 years old, and I remember when I was in high school, I used to watch anime. I would stay up for Adult Swim. Trigun was my thing. Toonami after school was a bop. Got
Cat
all
was
these
one of the
mangas.
OG blurs.
Right,
Man.
seriously, like you talk about just like a whole bookshelf full of Pet Shop of Horrors, fake, like all kinds of different Sayuki, whatever. I used to draw. I used to write fan fiction. Like, nah, I didn't like that ending. That's how I got my start writing, was writing on fanfiction.net. And sometimes I go back and read it like,
Woo!
dang
You're
girl,
taking me
oh, that's
way back.
spicy. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. So I had all of this, right? And then I went, and even I grew up in like a rural area. So like not a ton of black people, mostly predominantly white country school, graduating class super small. But even then, it was like I had my brother and my sister who were like blurting out with me, and my parents, they were gamers, so they were playing Myst and The Rocketeer and stuff like that. So, and would get us like, the um, Curse of Monkey Island series we would play through as a family and stuff like that. So there was always that unit for me. And it's just like, okay, well, you're making fun of me because I talk white, whatever that means. But I'm going to go home and I'm going to play some D&D with my brother, and it's going to be okay. But then like going through college, and even I went to an HBCU, and that was a level of conforming. It was like washing away all of that nerdiness because, wearing a t-shirt with a whole bunch of Japanese characters on it wasn't cool. But hey, brand name K Swisses are, and making sure that your all your stuff matches. And so it was like a whole new learning curve, like in terms of, oh, well, this is what it means to be Black, from somebody that only had their immediate family really to fall back upon. And then after that, going out into the world and then going to a very, very diverse graduate program at SCAD with a whole bunch of just fantastically weird and colorful, quirky, unabashedly themselves, like somebody wearing like an outfit they made and it's like pink dinosaurs and it's just the most whimsical thing you've ever imagined. Girl, I had whiplash like nobody's business. So it's like in that journey to your authentic self, I think that you really, if you're in a supportive environment, you get a sense for what that is early. Those things are encouraged, that make you different, that make you unique, that makes you stand apart. And then it's like you get out into society, and to Carmen's point, you have expectations. You're trying to blend in so that way when you're in a candidate pool, you don't have an easy way to dismiss you outside of the 10 other things that you already think, oh, my name's spelled weird, or my hair looks like this, or whatever, that you're already like, oh, well, I might not even get in the door because of these things that I really don't have that much control over. So let me not make it worse by saying, hey, you want to hear a dad joke? Kind of thing, like right at your interview.
As you're nervous, you're like, hey, by the way, have you
Exactly.
heard? Yeah.
But I said all that to say, I have been trying to get back to my authentic self for years. And I feel like I haven't really I'm not there yet, but I'm better than I was when I got out of school in my early 20s. Definitely better. Like my whole 20 something years, like God bless them. But there's something
Wouldn't want to go back.
magical, something magical about your dirty 30s. But all that to say is that you have to have an unabashed appreciation for who you are and what makes you unique, and make room for your authentic self. And that doesn't mean waiting on validation, permission, a company that's rolls out the red carpet and it's like, we have lunch and massage chairs and DEI and or whatever that list of
Yeah.
golden opportunity looks like. Because it wasn't until I was like completely myself in all interactions across the board. You're a millionaire, don't care. You're still going to get weird jokes. Oh, you're a company I'm talking to, don't care. You're still going to get like weird giggles and I snort when I laugh. Oh, you're this, don't care. This is me, and in that you become more confident in who you
Yeah.
are. You don't seek to apologize. You don't feel nervous. And it's just kind of like, this is me, and I know what I have to bring to the table. So you either get on board with it, or I'm just going to take this brilliance somewhere else. And I think that when you come from a place of power, and it's one that's hard to get to, it's hard earned, you go through a lot, you get broken down, beaten down, and you have to build yourself back up in spite of. But once you get there, and it's never you reach the top of the mountain, you're always, having to iterate. But once you start getting that, it's just
You can't
something falls
tolerate too much
right.
more.
Exactly, something falls away. You're able to suss out what's real versus what's not. You have a better litmus test for opportunities that will feed your soul versus starve it. And then if none of the opportunities that are in front of you make sense to who you are and where you want to be, there are more avenues than any than there ever have been, for entrepreneurship and doing it your own way. and finding a tribe of people who see your brilliance, get what you're about, are also on that path with you. And there you go. You didn't need permission from anybody because you did it yourself. So, okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox. I'm going to drink some juice. I
Let
love
me
this so much. This is
let me
great.
just pick up that mic really quickly. And Junae, I know it's your podcast, but we could do this all day. I had the flip side of what Kat is talking about for her childhood. I grew up in every public housing, and back when we had public housing, when dinosaurs roamed the earth and whatnot, you only got like a year or 2 years in a place, and then they would move you somewhere else, right? Having a single mother who was white, and then having the other half of my family who is Afro American and Jamaican, I would go to my aunt's house to get a relaxer or to get my hair braided, because that's what we did. And that's how we associated, family dinners and learning some of those traditional recipes from your grandparents and keeping the understanding of who you are. Kat and I have a commonality that we have family members who were Tuskegee Airmen or supported the Tuskegee Airmen that we're very proud of and very thankful for having those conversations with our elders to learn what they went through. One of my biggest memories was taking my grandparents to see The Color Purple when it came out, and they had to leave 20 minutes in because it was so hard for them to watch that movie in the era that they grew up. And I went home with them and had a frank conversation with my grandfather to understand better of why that was so traumatic for them, because I didn't grow up in that era. And also, our elders don't talk about stuff unless you ask them, because God forbid you ask them something, if you say something to them and your grandmother look at you a certain way, you better run. And let me tell you, my grandmother was spry. She'll come for you. Or get off the plastic couch. Don't be sitting over there. But all that to say, as TLDR, there is a huge, huge disparity for me in the aspect of growing up in an environment where all I knew and all I wanted to know was my blackness. I wanted to know where I came from. I wanted to know the heritage of my family. I wanted to feel like this is who I am. And growing up and having the colorism just put this armor for me, and understanding myself at an early age, because kids are mean. But for me, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. And I've learned my authentic self is okay to be. Again, Junae, you have a lot of growing and things to do in your life, but what you're doing right now is so important, so impactful. And Kat and I have talked about paving the way. You're doing it. You're doing it. You're making impact, and you will continue to make an impact. I can't say enough that I'm proud of you for what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Whew, this has just been this has been amazing, and I'm absolutely loving the affirmations. And um, Kat, you're only 2 years older than me, so I don't want to call you my senior in that way. I don't think you guys are old at all. You know what I mean? But just from like my
Woo!
seniors. But
Yes, I am.
oh,
I don't
You know
okay.
what?
know.
Yes,
These
I'm gonna
yes,
tell
joints
you.
ma'am.
would be a different
I'm gonna tell
story.
you right now. I am 53 years old, but let me
That's
tell you,
not a
black
lot.
don't crack. I look good,
Period.
Linda. I look good.
Period. Period. My best friend
I
is
didn't believe you the first time
43,
you told me that.
Always
and
people think
people
I'm a
think
liar.
that she's my kid. So I get it. 43, 53, 63. I don't know. It don't make me no
Age is but a
difference, but
number, girl.
that part,
Yeah,
in
and
this
I
sense,
want to
right?
give a
Like
shout out. Right. I want to give a couple shameless plugs before we have to go. One, I will be at GDC this year. So if you're
uh,
listening or viewing this and you see me walking around, you can say hello. You can stop me. You can use my name. It's right there. I am all about networking, connecting, and being able to meet people where they are. Ask me a question. That's what I'm there for. And two, if you haven't read my blog over at, where is it, Kat?
www.schellgames.com/blog.
You need to check it out, because a lot of what we're talking about here is over in the blog, and you can suggest a topic. and I will give you a shout out. Stay tuned. There's more to come in regards to prizes and other things. And I want to hear from you. Don't be shy.
I don't
I
have any
love that.
shameless plugs. Just go and be great.
I love that though.
Shameless plug. Sign up for that newsletter, girl.
Okay, she was
Junae,
like,
you
"Yeah,
got a
that's
shameless plug?
enough."
Go ahead.
But me, I'm trying to get to GDC. I'm trying to get to GDC still. Still trying to figure that out. I have a pass already because the IGDA Foundation gave me a pass. But as far as flight and hotel, I don't. And unfortunately, fortunately, I'm used to being flued out, so I'm like, money. I have to spend money. So trying to get to GDC. I am working on my first game, which I'm getting more and more comfortable telling people that I'm doing. Also, I'm into PR stuff now. That's like my job. So if you have a game coming out that you need some help boosting, I'm more than happy to help. And digital marketing as well. So that's my plug. I'm B2B. I'm B2B. I want to help B2B,
Woohoo!
business to business, because B2C is exhausting. I don't want to be a social media manager. So if that's what you're looking for, don't call me. I'm not writing no tweets. I don't even write
You don't
tweets
want
for
to be an
myself.
influencer?
You know what I mean? No, not at all. But I think that that's it for me. Thank you guys. I it sounds like there's gonna have to be a part two, or if we'll all be at GDC, we could just block out some time to chat because I want to hear about, like your consultation, especially because I'm like, I got to embrace this entrepreneurship like fully, like not half it, like fully. And I want to do so much but not too much, right? So I do want to hear more about that. And I love volunteering, and I love that we all overlapped in every section. And so you guys are just amazing people to watch. Thanks so much for existing and existing in the spaces that you do. And thanks so much for talking to me. I appreciate it.
It's great. Thank you for having us. And thank you
Yeah.
for taking both of our chaos energy because we're a
Yes.
lot on most days, but for some reason today we're just like,
Just cut us loose.
V-
Cut us loose.
This has been the easiest to focus, so I think we just call us the Chaos Emeralds at this point because we're doing pretty well together. We're doing pretty well together.
Yeah.
So that concludes this episode of Gaming for the
Streets
Culture
chaos.
with Kat and Carmen. Yep. Slash chaos, right? I guess that'll be the name of this episode because I don't have a name just yet. But thanks so much
I
for
like it.
listening and tuning in and subscribing to the Patreon. And please share this. Also, check out the blog. Check out, what they got going on. They always got something cool, and they can always tell you about what other people got going on. So until next time, game safely, wash your hands, wash your butt. Okay, we're still doing that. Just continue to do that. Be kind, rewind. That's not relevant anymore, but the people who get it, get it. So, yeah, be safe.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks,
Okay.
y'all.
Thanks, everybody.